Good evening, everybody. You know, what a great story in today's gospel. It's a great story because it has contrasting characters in it. It's a great story because it has a surprise ending. And it's a great story because it has a hero. And it's all true. One set of characters in the gospel today are the religious scribes of Judaism. Well, I'm sure there were some good ones. There are good ones and bad ones in every profession. But the scribes that Jesus sees tonight and tells us about, they wear the black hats, not the white hats. You see, the scribes were part of the religious elite. They were experts in the law of Moses, the Jewish scripture. To be a scribe, you had to study for years and years, studying the law, the Jewish scriptures. Wow, did they ever know a lot. If a Jew had a problem, or if a Jew had a theological question, they'd go to the experts. They'd go to the scribes. And their social status, they were the stars of Judaism. They were the big shots. They had the 50-yard line seats and the press box suites with the finest food and drinks catered in. And boy, when they entered the temple area, they were like our modern day celebrities, everyone pointing and whispering, "Look who it is. Look who it is." If they had cameras in those days, the flashes going off in the temple would have put a U2 concert to shame. In their social status, it was reflected in how they dressed. Even if they were out in town wandering around, they wore their flowing robes and full-length prayer shawls with tassels dangling from everywhere. Everybody knew them. Everybody respected them. Everybody wanted to be seen with them. But Jesus points out that these first century Jewish celebrities, they just didn't pass the divine smell test. They were superficial. They were shallow. They were all show. They talked the talk, but they didn't walk the walk. They were all head, no heart. They were celebrities without substance. Listen to this. The scribes weren't paid per se. They didn't receive a regular paycheck. That was forbidden. So they lived on subsidies instead, a little bit from the temple treasury, a little bit from their students, a little bit from here, a little bit from there. And the worst of the scribes, the ones Jesus just pointed out, they would embezzle funds that were set up for the care of widows. They would freeload on the hospitality of widows, or they would mismanage the estates or wills of widows so they would be the ones to always personally benefit. Oh, they loved their places of honor. They loved all the privileges that went with their office. In short, these scribes, it was all about them. All show. All show. Just like the rich that Jesus points out, who gives large sum to the treasury, it was all show for them too. Look at how much I give. But on the other hand, Jesus points somebody else out. He points out a poor widow. What a contrast. She was one of the invisibles in society. She was one of those people that everybody stared straight through. It's like she wasn't even there. Nobody ever noticed her. They purposely didn't notice her anyway. Nobody in society wanted to be seen or wanted to be hanging around the poor widow. You see, in those days, when she lost her husband, she lost her name, she lost her financial support, she lost her emotional support, she lost her status. She lost it all. Not only does the widow not sit up in the box seats with the elite, she's just trying to survive. She doesn't even know there's a game. The only way she would know there's a game if she goes there so she can beg. She's just trying to survive. And what does this nobody do when nobody is watching? She walks up to the treasury and she drops in everything she has. 2 little pennies right into the plate. That's all she had. Now she is completely vulnerable. She could rely on only one thing, or rather one person, a divine person. She could only rely on God. So what's the surprise ending? Who's the real scholar of the law? The rich scribe, the rich educated scribe, or the poor, uneducated widow? Who really knows the law? Nobody notices this poor widow but Jesus. He has a way of noticing nobodies, doesn't he? But she's not a nobody in his eyes, just the opposite. You see, in 4 short days from this story we hear in the gospel, in 4 short days, Jesus will give his life. In 4 short days, Jesus will be nailed and hung from a tree. In 4 short days, Jesus will be dead. He has given it all. So why does he see her? Why does Jesus see this nobody? He sees an image of himself. This is how one author put it. When Jesus looked at her, she reminded him of someone. It was the end for her, and it was the end for Jesus too. She withheld nothing from God, and neither did he. It took one to know one. It took one to know one. When he looked at her, it was like looking in a mirror at a reflection so clear that he called his disciples over to see. He called them over and said, "Look, look," he said to those who were meant to follow him. "That's what I've been talking about. Look at her." You know, I've wanted to be so many things in my life at different times. I've wanted to be rich. I've wanted to be famous. I've wanted to be a big intellectual. I've wanted to be in control. I've wanted to feel secure. And I've wanted to be noticed. I've wanted to be a doctor. And I've wanted to be a Catholic priest. But now that I've gotten a little older and understand the gospel just a little bit more, mainly I want to be just like the widow, the biblical hero that Jesus himself notices and points out for others to imitate. She withheld nothing from God. Neither did he. It took one to know one. When Jesus looked at her, it was like looking in the mirror. A reflection so clear that he called his disciples over to see. Look, if you want to follow me, look at